Inside America's Boardrooms, the informational show for board members and corporate secretaries. Brought to you with Knowledge Partners, NASDAQ, the Center for Audit Quality, and PwC. Along with content contributors Equilar, Meridian Compensation Partners, Wilson Sonsini Goodrich and Rosati, R.R. Donnelly, and the Society of Corporate Secretaries and Governance Professionals.
Welcome to this edition of Inside America's Boardrooms. I'm TK Kerstetter, CEO of Boardroom Resources, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to the show. We're going to be looking at something different today, and that is how CEOs manage board relationships and critical projects. And with me is my guest for today, who's very qualified to talk about this subject. Welcome Steve Wilson, who is the former CEO of CF Industries. He is a board member with Ameren and with GATX corporations, and is also a trustee and alumnus with Northwestern University and the Kellogg School. So welcome, Steve.
Glad to be here, TK.
And thank you for arranging us to be on the campus of Northwestern University and actually be here at this prestigious campus, so thank you. So we're here, though, to talk about you, in a way, because by any measure that we would look at, you were successful as a CEO of a public company. And in today's world, to do that, you have to build a relationship that's sort of win-win for you and the board. It's important to have that relationship. Talk about a little bit how you created that environment with the board and what you sort of gained and learned from that experience.
Sure, it really started when we put our board together when we went public. We had two carryover directors from our previous life as a cooperative, and then we brought in 4 new outside directors. I'm very proud of the fact that I didn't know any of those 4 gentlemen before they came on board. We had a search consultant do the work, and so we came in, we started off with 4 clearly independent people. I never met these gentlemen before they were brought to me as candidates. So they came in with a complete sense of independence. 3 of them were sitting CEOs. 1 of them had been controller of General Motors. So we had a great skill set, and we had a group of directors who at least knew how to be directed by directors because they had been senior executives. And they were focused on being independent. They liked the fact that we were a new public company and that this was exciting to help me as a CEO set the course for the new company. So we actually started out with both a collegial relationship, but one that was, let's say, skeptical and probing. And frankly, I liked that. I was a new CEO. I didn't think I had all the answers. I was receptive to their input. And so we had really good interplay from the beginning. And as the years went by, and together we made decisions which, when implemented, were successful, the confidence level rose, and the needed degree of skepticism declined. And so we actually ended up being a quite effective team. And I always enjoyed the boardroom atmosphere. In fact, the thing I miss the most of being retired is that collegiality among the board that I put together.
You know, that's interesting because it's the same thing that professional sports people, when they retire, they don't miss the game near as much as they miss, quote, the locker room kind of setting where everybody has to bond together to be sort of successful. So now you retire, take all this knowledge, you go to serve on 2 public boards. So what does that experience, how does that make you a better director on these boards? And sort of a outside the box question, do you ever find yourself sort of being sympathetic to the current CEO, like giving them the benefit of the doubt, knowing the experiences that you have? Talk a little bit about, again, you being a director today.
I think that my experience as a CEO helps me be an effective director because I know where the line is between the CEO's responsibility and the board's responsibility. And there's a tendency among directors who haven't been CEOs to want to meddle in to the affairs of management, to get a little too deep into the decision-making process. And since I was in charge of managing that process from the inside, from the management side, I know where the tension begins when the directors begin to micromanage my life. And so as long as I'm thinking about that, I can step back at the appropriate time and let management do the things that they want to do. With respect to your second question about the tendency to give the CEOs a pass, I actually think myself, although my fellow directors may disagree, that I tend to be a little bit more probing and a little bit more critical. I had good models in my company of directors who knew how to ask the right questions at the right time. And frankly, I think it's my job as a director to help the CEO be successful. And I don't think that I can help the CEO be successful if I simply accept his or her decisions at face value without being a skeptic on occasion.
Yeah. That's a great segue into the last area that I wanted to talk about, and that's sort of managing critical projects for the company. Certainly in your tenure, you had, especially with the growth that you had major projects that were critical to the business's success and to your own career. And as CEO, obviously you have to delegate to be successful. Yet at the same time, there has to be a method to sort of keep your hands on and to acknowledge particularly high-level projects that things are going the way you need them to go. Talk a little bit about how you determined, you know, where that line was and then how you might solve the problem sometimes when you couldn't be everywhere, you know, at once.
A lot of these issues are really human relations issues. It's important to understand your organization, to understand who the key players are, who are the ones who are going to execute things effectively, who are the people who are still being tested in that process, to fix accountability for a project and making sure there's a reporting mechanism coming back to me in order to enhance the likelihood of success. These critical projects are projects that can either, you know, lead to abysmal failure or great success. And having an ear to the team is really quite important.
Steve, congratulations on a great career. You certainly left CF Industries in a great position. I have a feeling that there's no question about what you bring these other public companies as a director. And we certainly wish you the best of luck. And thank you, Mr. Trustee, for arranging us to go on the road and meet here at Northwestern University and at the Kellogg School. And we wish you good fortune in the future.
I'm glad you were here.
And that will conclude this edition of Inside America's Boardrooms. We hope you enjoyed the show. We'll be back again next week where we take a look at another critical topic that'll help you be a better board member or committee member. So we'll see you then.
Join us again next week for Inside America's Boardrooms. Brought to you with Knowledge Partners, NASDAQ, the Center for Audit Quality, and PwC. Along with content contributors, Equilar, Meridian Compensation Partners, Wilson Sonsini Goodrich and Rosati, R.R. Donnelly, and the Society of Corporate Secretaries and Governance Professionals.